Hi, welcome to our live learning session today. My name's Jeffrey,
Hi, I'm Pinak.
and today we'll be talking about how to make animated presentations using PowerPoint, and as well as explore some other options for animation in presentations. PowerPoint we'll be discussing today because of its host of animation ability. It's a very established program. I'm sure many of you have heard of it. PowerPoint is a great tool for animating, creating presentations because it makes the format very simple. It's very intuitive to animate within PowerPoint, and it's a very established program to go through about doing this. PowerPoint especially um, is good for bringing up a lot of this animation because animation is kind of essential to grabbing your readers or your viewers' attention as you talk about a topic. Attention, especially, is very built into a lot of motion, color, movement, and using animation within PowerPoint really is able to grab your audience's attention as you explore, as you present, and as you discuss your ideas. PowerPoint especially has a number of resources for exploring animation within them beyond just the video that we'll be creating today. PowerPoint has a number of animated tutorials on how to go about using their program and using their software. So that is why we'll be focusing on PowerPoint in this demo. Additionally, I'd like to point you towards some other resources before we begin on how to for presenting with animation. Prezi is another established program for presenting animated presentations. As you can see, some of these examples through Prezi have coherent, defined animation programs as well. While we won't be exploring these, I did want to mention them as an example of some other programs you could be looking at. Pinak is going to go ahead and take off on our demonstration um, for creating animation in PowerPoint. Pinak, if you'd like to take that.
Yeah. So before we started, we're just gonna take a look at how to create text boxes and shapes, and how we can apply animations to make it just look cool and grab your audience's attention. I'm just gonna share my screen real quick. Okay, let's quickly go ahead and see. So for the scope of this session, we're just gonna use Windows. So right click, go to New, and open up a new Microsoft PowerPoint presentation. And if you go ahead and click on it to open it, it just gives you a blank slide. To go ahead, Microsoft has a lot of templates and designs built in to make it look appealing to the audience. So if you go ahead and click on design up here, there's a bunch of options that you can go through. And notice how if you go to home and click new slide, it just keeps creating new slides beneath each other. And if you click on a design, notice how the same design is applied to each and every slide. You have a bunch of options here to choose the layout. It's title and content, or it's maybe title and content side by side. So you can pretty much, there's a lot of options for exploring. So this is how you apply designs. And if you click on another design, notice how it's applied to each and every slide in the rest of the presentation as well. So that's something intuitive Microsoft has created, which is great. We're just gonna go ahead and jump into a pre-made presentation. Okay, let's just think that this is a blank presentation. And we're gonna go ahead and try to learn to make these shapes. I'm just gonna delete this for now. These are like 2D shapes, but they give a 3D effect. There's something known as shadows and color combinations that works together to give this amazing effect. So just for demonstration purposes, I'm gonna try and make this shape once again for you guys. So if you click on insert and you click on shapes here, there's a bunch of options for basic shapes. You can pretty much just click on it and it gives you a shape, which is super easy. So we're gonna try and make this pyramid first. So let's go to pick, shapes, triangle. If you hold down the shift key on your keyboard, notice how this is an equilateral triangle at all times. But as soon as I'll leave the shift key, this is now just skewed in whatever proportion I want it to be. But if I hold the shift key, it's always going to be an equilateral triangle. Does that make sense? So this is a quick tidbit to, just make it appealing and to quickly adjust however you want it. So yeah, we're going to start off by creating one triangle, and we go to insert shapes and we need another equilateral triangle. This is just art, you can say. You can pretty much get this pretty easy if you practice. So we have these two shapes, which is basically, in the form, uh, you can, so if you want to select multiple shapes, you click on it, you hold down the shift key and you click on the other one. Notice how if I'm just clicking on it, it's just going to select them independently. But if you hold down the shift key and click on multiple shapes, it's just going to keep selecting all of it. So if you select multiple shapes, you can go here and click group. These are now one shape. I can't select them independently. This is one group and I can move them together. Now, I'm just going to uh, remove the outline so it doesn't look like broken apart. Okay, now the next thing you have to do is basically try to cut it from the center. There are multiple ways. I'm going to show you the easiest one. You go to insert shapes and a rectangle. You want this rectangle so that this rectangle is covering half of the triangle, and then we'll take it from there. I'm just going to remove the outline so it looks beautiful. Uh, do you see these guidelines? These guidelines will help you align it so you don't misalign it somehow, and it's super easy. It does not have to be super accurate. You can just cover it, and I'm going to show you from there. So we just select these shapes, and you go to merge and select fragment. What fragment is going to do is wherever these shapes are overlapping each other, it's just going to cut them off. So again, make sure you align them. You select all of them, holding down the shift key and click on fragment. Now you can just go ahead and delete the original shape, and there you go. You have two different halves. Now, to give the shadow effect, all you have to do is select a darker color. So if you go to shape fill and select a darker color and just group them once again, there you go. You have it. A super simple pyramid. Um, I'd like to just show you what gradient means, because this is a super simple circle, but it's all about the fill. Uh, let's go ahead and insert a new shape. This time we're going to hold circle. And if you hold down the shift key, it's going to be a perfect circle. But if you leave the shift key, it's again going to be skewed. So this is a super simple tip. Okay, no shape outline once again, because it just comes in the way. If you go to shape fill, you see an option called gradient. Now, what gradient does is it applies a light to dark shade from one side of the shape to another, and we can have different variations, different directions in all types of way. If you go to shape fill and go to gradient, there's a lot of options out here. So if you click on radial, it's going to be dark in the center and the color is going to gradient, like fade out towards the edges. For this kind of thing, all you want to do is imagine that the light is coming, like the light source is on one side of the object, so it's going to be lighter on one side and darker on the other side. So that's how the lighting effects work. So you go to gradient and you select, okay, that's the wrong one, this one. Now, if you want to edit these options, you can go to more gradients. And in this little pop-up box, there's a bunch of options for colors. So if you double click, if you click on these sliders and you click on the shape fill, there's a lot of colors that you can fill in. There's like 16 million combinations, whatever. You all know that. I'm gonna go ahead and delete this dropper because we just need one light and one dark and a gradual gradient. So instead of these three, I'm just gonna delete the center one. So we just have two eyedroppers now, two markers. On one side, we can select the lighter tone in blue, and on the other side, we can select the darker tone in blue. And so this does not really look, I mean, it does not look shadowy effect. So you can go ahead and add a new marker and see how you can just slide the markers to uh, make the shapes go a little bit darker to lighter depending upon how you want it to look. So I think this is looking good. And yeah, there you have it. This looks like a sphere, but all you know, this is just a circle. So we've learned how to make basic shapes and what are the different types of shapes and fills. If you go to shape format, there's a bunch of options to uh, fill colors, outlines, as well as effects. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and delete this. Let's take a look at what we can do with text boxes. If you go ahead and insert and you click on text box, you just click and type anything. Oops, okay. Yeah, this is a text. You can pretty much select everything. You can change the different types of fonts, all of that. It's exactly like any other um, document editing process. You can change the font size, increase, decrease. There's font colors, there's font highlights, all of that. I'm gonna start by showing how we can animate these text boxes. Like animating shapes and animating texts is different. So we'll start by animating texts and then we'll move on to shapes. Um, so if you click on a text box and you go to the animations tab, uh, this little arrow here shows a lot of built-in animations that Microsoft has. It's divided into entrance, emphasis, and exit. And like the title say, entrance means when you're trying to um, project your slideshow to someone and you're trying to bring in elements from different sides. These animations help like uh, emphasize the entrances. And exit is exactly like after the end of the slide when you're trying to move elements away. That's where exit animations work. We're just gonna take a look at the entrance animations. um, I'm gonna go in with fly in. Oh yeah, there's different types of effects, and you can have these texts fly in from different sides. You can also have it by paragraph, maybe like if you have multiple paragraphs, you can have those paragraphs fly in at different types after you click. So I'm gonna go with fade just to show you because fade is important. So if you click on the animation pane, these are all the animations you can see that you have applied in this slide. So if I apply multiple animations to these shapes, these animations are going to show up here. If you right click and go on effect options, these are a bunch of settings that you can adjust to make it look like however you want it. For example, you can add sound. When you like when the text is flying in, you can add sound, and if that's what your taste, but we're not going to do that today. I'm going to go down to animated text, and this is an important one because it kind of makes a difference. I'm going to click by letter and click OK, and you see how it appears by letter. But at the same time, if you go and if you select by word, it's just going to be two words. But if there's like multiple words, it's going to go a bit slower, which looks pretty decent. So I think those are all the options you guys need to learn at the basic level. So we've seen how to animate text. Now let's go ahead and try to see what complex animations look like. I'm going to start slideshow. Basic text animation. This is by letter, like we saw. These are wipe animations. Now let's take a look how we can do these. So you select a shape, you select wipe, you select from left, from bottom, whatever you, however you want it, and it's that easy. That's all there is to it. If you click on present, there you have it. I just have a few more pre-made slides. We're gonna go ahead and take a look at those. This is to maybe if you're trying to present process flow or any type of chart that gives out data, saying your profits per month, increase, decrease from month to month, whatever. Same thing again, just different layout, but you can like show these animations to just make it more appealing. Notice how this text flew in from above, and that was a fly-in effect. So it's just different types of animations. That's it. So the slide we saw, I'm gonna demonstrate real quick how to do these animations and how we align the appearing of this circle with the text and how to like time it in the animation pane. So I've just copied the same slide without animations. So you click on animation pane, so you have a brief overlook of whatever's here. Now, the first thing that you uh, uh, want to make appear on the blank slide is this text. So we're gonna click on this text box, select fly in or float in. Let's select fly in, and from above, from top, so it flies in, and that is already here. If you play all, you'll see the animations have applied to the elements on the slide. The next thing that we want to appear is the blue circle along with the text. So depending upon what you want first, let's say we want the blue circle to appear first. You click on the shape. You click on maybe zoom, and there you have it. It's that easy. Now, after you want the after the circular shape, you want the text that is associated with it, right? So you want to click on this whole thing. Um, you you can select whichever animation you want. Let's say wipe maybe, and I want it from left, and there you have it. If you click outside and select play all, it's gonna play out whatever animations you have applied so far, just to make sure it's all right. And then you can follow the same order, like the shape and then the text. Then you go to the shape and then the text. So I'm gonna animate this real quick for you guys. Animate the text. Just going quickly through this because we've already seen this before. Select from left. Um, a general rule of thumb is you don't want to like add a lot of different animations in a single slide because it just disrupts the whole flow. So it's a good idea to just go over the same animations for same types of elements on the same slide, so it just looks uniform. And I think we're pretty much done here. That easy. So we've taken a look at how to animate text, create shapes, animate them, and the timeline where you can like drag and drop these animations to appear wherever you want. Like let's say I want this text box to appear at the last. So all I'm gonna do is just click on it and drag this animation to the most bottom. And now if I click all, everything else is going to appear first, and then the text just flies in at the last. So this is how you can just time it however you want it to be. So I think that's pretty much the end of today's session. I'm gonna let Jeffrey take over. Jeffrey.
Perfect. Thank you, Pinak, for walking us through that demo. Thank you all for joining us with our demonstration today. Again, I'd like to reiterate some of the main points of this live learning session, which is to discuss the importance of animation in your PowerPoint, because the viewer often is more engaged with more animated, colorful shapes, textures, and visuals. Um, we again explored PowerPoint and how easy and useful it is to do that. Um, and finally, we'd like to thank you all for joining us today. And please check us out on our YouTube, on our social media, and on any of our other systems. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.